And I always think about Reagan's quote. Reagan said, freedom is never more than one generation from extinction, and it has to be constantly fought for. Um, and so if we sit back, it's not in the natural state of just that freedom is just going to be there naturally. We have to fight for it constantly. Let me hand that over to you. What do you think about what I just said?
Well, I think that in the United States, we faced a very interesting problem because, of course, as you know, in the Soviet Union and in Nazi Germany, your totalitarianism was far more upfront, right? You knew where propaganda was coming from, you understood where the state was drawing the line and flexing its power. There were jackboots, there were gulags. We understand this as totalitarianism. But in the United States, it took on a very interesting and different approach. In the United States, our elites wielded soft power, what Machiavelli or Gaetano Mosca would have called the foxes instead of the lions. And our fox style elites in the West actually turned our desire for freedom against us. They understood that if they could isolate people and manipulate their opinion, then they would be able to decide what democracy looked like. And this is something that Alexis de Tocqueville warned about in Democracy in America, that American individualism, while it had its upsides, its downside is that it could isolate people and leave them open to manipulation. And so for him, for de Tocqueville, the thing that made American democracy work, that made the American Republic function, was the amount of community organizations that grounded the American people. The fact that they were so passionate about their faith and their community that they joined churches and mutual aid societies and guilds and all of these fraternal organizations voluntarily in a way that European civilizations usually did not. And that's what allowed America to operate as a somewhat individualistic society while still having these community bonds that stood strong against larger centralizations of power. But once we broke down those bonds, once we lost the church, we lost the family, once these forces became weaker in the United States, then the state could use that individualism to manipulate us because we didn't have constant contact with our friends, our family, our God, the things that keep us grounded in reality. And so ultimately, we had a different type of totalitarianism come in the back door. One that doesn't come with the jackboots, it doesn't come with the gulags. However, it comes with a large amount of social engineering and manipulation of public opinion. And because we were not connected to those things that make us whole, that make us connected to God and to our families and our communities, we were easily misled into situations in which we believe things like you can't sit on a beach without a mask, without, killing someone. Ridiculous things in hindsight, but at the time, people believed them because the only information they were getting was from their phones or their televisions. They didn't have that grounding in church and family and community that would have set them back to reality.